come to start today's practice session, which will be in typically wet conditions here in Kuala Lumpur. The excitement and disappointment of the last race will soon be forgotten as the teams focus on getting the most out of their cars. So after the first race, how do you think this season will compare to previous years?
Well, I hope that we're in for a fantastic season. The Mercedes team have certainly come out of pre-season testing the strongest, which is all well and good, but it's the racing where the pace really counts. It's always difficult to predict, therefore, who's going to come out on top.
The new regulations for this year say goodbye to the somewhat unique nose designs that we saw on the 2014 cars.
The 2014 changes were brought in to promote safety, but I don't think it was anticipated how the teams would exploit the regulations. This year, those regulations have been tightened up.
Oh, Maldonado, what happened to your face? Anyway guys, here we are in the garage for the Malaysian Grand Prix. We are in practice at the moment, and as you can see, it is raining, so we're going to go out on the intermediate tyres. But first of all, we need to load up our setup for this race. I've already created a setup called Malaysia, so I'm just going to run you through that. So this setup for Malaysia is probably the best one I've found. It involves 1-1 wings, so front wing 1, rear wing 1. The adjustment on throttle, I go for 90% 85. Being honest, they're more personal for it, but these are the best settings I've found. The front two on the suspension, the top two want to be on the minimum and the bottom two on the maximum. And the front suspension wants to be 11 as well as the anti-roll bar, but the rear suspension wants to be 1 and anti-roll bar 6. Around about, that's slightly approximate. I found this soap on YouTube actually, and it's really good. Those two will both be on the maximum, and ballast wants to be on around about 9, and then obviously fuel, which is the next one, you just put on as much as you want. So I'm going to go for about 15 laps. Come on then, Baldy, let's go and put in some lap times. Oh, Ricardo, you absolute chipstick, you got out just before me. Why? So we were putting in some laps over the practice session, and we just did not get on the pace whatsoever. I mean, we're down in P18 here, and we only improved to P16. We're 3 seconds off the pace. That's how bad the car was being. We managed to put in a lap that put us into P7, but even that was 2 seconds off. I mean, the car just didn't really turn that well. It wasn't that quick on the straights. It just didn't perform very well in the wet at all. But we managed to get P6 there, which is alright. I mean, it was okay. One thing I'm noticing on this game is the tyres take quite a while to warm up. I mean, they've been at a good rate for the past few laps, and they've got a lot of grip in them. And I say that as a run wide here, but like, they're getting a lot more grip in them. It's like, oh my god, what was that? Well, we've just run into a wild Toro Rosso and got ourselves a puncture. So we look on the replay cameras here. I ran off wide, and then I just literally got absolutely rammed up the arse by a Toro Rosso. But you look behind, we come back on, we try and gain control, and Sainz just comes straight up behind us, rams us into a wall, says how do you do, and then just leaves us alone. So we got a punch from that, which is obviously annoying, and going back to the pits, it was so painfully slow. I mean, I'm going at full blast here, and I'm only going 92 miles an hour. I mean, most cars do that on the M1. So we're not, it was painfully slow. So, but we did manage to get back to the pits, and I just checked if there were any penalties, and as you can see here, Carlos Sainz, who was the guy that crashed into us, got a grid penalty for the collision with us, and we got a lot of track limits, but thankfully he got a penalty for that.
After a truly exceptional lap, it's Felipe Massa who surprisingly posts the best time. That'll give the other teams a lot to think about.
So at the end of that practice session, we finish off in P10 with our teammate Bottas in P9. As you heard, Felipe Massa, the Sauber driver, managed to post the fastest lap time because he, Ricardo, Maldonado and Button all managed to get out on option tyres as the track dried up at the end. But we did manage to get back out because of the damage. But let's go into qualifying and see how we do.
Sit back and put your feet up as we head into qualifying here in Kuala Lumpur. Over the next few minutes, we'll find out who's got pace in the car and who hasn't. Last year we saw a wonderful race here in Malaysia, and I'm expecting another fascinating weekend to come here in Kuala Lumpur.
Well, there are at least 3 or 4 other drivers that could be strong contenders for a front row start tomorrow, so it's difficult to predict who will come out on top, but it's certainly going to be an exciting qualifying session today.
So here we are in the garage for qualifying of the Malaysian Grand Prix. It is dry, so we're going to go out on the dry tyres. We're not going to pick the options. I'm going to change that to the primes just so we set a benchmark lap time. Then we'll come in and change them in a bit. So let's go. Now that is interesting as I run off wide here. We have 15 minutes until there's some light rain expected. So that means if drivers haven't set their quick lap times by then, we could leapfrog some of the front runners, because like the Mercedes and Ferraris at times leave their fastest laps until right at the end of the session. So this rain could really turn the session around as we post a lap time that puts us in P2. This rain could really mess up the session for everyone. This could be interesting, guys. This could be an interesting session here. Oh no, not slow cars. Come on, get out of the way, Mary. Raikkonen, move. I'm on a hot lap here. I'm doing good. I'm slightly slow, but I can still improve. Kvyat, get off the racing line. Thank you. Verstappen, you better move your arse here. No, you have to move. Oh, come on. Come on, I can still improve. Come on. Oh, I didn't even improve. The back markers have held me up, guys. We haven't even improved.
What a drive by Nico Rosberg. He's got the fastest lap of the session and is on pole position for tomorrow's race.
They've been working so hard as a team and they've been rewarded. Such a great performance. And if he drives like that tomorrow, then the race win will definitely be possible.
So at the end of qualifying, we finish in P7 with Lewis Hamilton only in P6. That's a bit of a shock because he hasn't performed very well there. Bottas got P4 and Nico Rosberg continues to dominate this season by getting P1. So let's go see if anyone can actually beat him in tomorrow's race. Let's go to the race.
Good afternoon and welcome from Sepang, where the cars and drivers are getting ready to start the Malaysia Grand Prix. Driving one of those Mercedes to the top of the timesheets in qualifying was Germany's Nico Rosberg. He'll have made quite a few people sit up and take notice with that performance, not least his teammate Lewis Hamilton.
He's definitely best placed to go on and win today's race. On top of that, strategy and car performance is always easier to manage from the front than it is further down the field.
Nico won the last race with a performance that Toto Wolff called a drive of true class. He seems really at home in this Mercedes team, and it's from that platform that he's able to put in these great performances.
Nico certainly had the edge over Lewis last time out, and he'll want to put one over on his teammate again today. Don't underestimate the mind games that are going on between these pair as they battle it out for supremacy.
So here we are on the grid for the Malaysian Grand Prix. We start from P7, and as you will have seen there from the little intro to the race, Carlos Sainz starts down in position 20, so he's in last place because of the grid penalty with the collision with us in practice. As for strategy, we're starting on options and going on to primes between lap 6 or 7, which should carry us to the end of the race. So a fairly quick strategy by the looks of it, and hopefully we'll be able to do good as we wait for 5 red lights. Lights out and away we go for the Malaysian Grand Prix round 2 in this first ever career mode championship. Ricciardo to our right gets a really slow start there, and we managed to pass Hamilton as well, but we have to release the throttle as Raikkonen's going quite slow into turn 1. A lot of locking up in front of us between Bottas and Raikkonen, the two flying Finns. We make contact with Bottas's rear wheel there, and he makes contact with Raikkonen. How someone didn't spin out there, I don't know. Bottas is going a bit slow, so we managed to get up his inside. And now we approach turn 4 and we are in position 4. So not a bad start for us as we run slightly wide. Team radio. Thank you for that, Jeff. This really changes the Grand Prix a lot here, because rain in 5 minutes time isn't quite at the end of our strategy. And the AI we saw in practice really don't like the rain. I mean, they were crawling around on their dry tyres in the wet. So this could really shape up the Grand Prix differently and maybe turn the race upside down as we dive up the inside of Raikkonen into the last corner. So now we're up to P3 by the end of lap 1. This has been a good start for us, but this rain could really change around the Grand Prix a bit. It could really make it a very interesting race, and we have a team radio again. What the hell do you think I'm trying to do, Jeff? What the hell do you think I'm trying to do? Now at the end of lap 2, as you can see, Rosberg is just setting really quick laps here, and him and Vettel are pulling away from me as we hear DRS is now available, but they're just pulling away from me like that. I can't keep up to them. So just told me not to move on to Inters this early, and I have noticed the track is getting a lot wetter, but it's not quite Inter stage, as you see Raikkonen dive up the right hand side of us, and Hamilton follows him through, and God, Hamilton's got a lot of speed on him there, and we try and hang him around the outside. We go 3 wide into turn 1, we get clipped by Raikkonen twice, and we've been pushed out and down into P5, and I think that was an unfair move by Raikkonen. But being honest, we couldn't have held them behind for much longer. We're now at the end of lap 4 and we've caught back up to the back of Raikkonen. He didn't really pull away from us like I was expecting him to, but we braked so much later than Raikkonen and managed to get right up the inside of him there. That is the definition of a dive bomb. That was the perfect dive bomb. Wow, he broke so early into that corner. We lose control of the car coming through. Oh, hello, we've got someone tagging on with us. See you later. But anyway, we managed to keep Raikkonen behind for the rest of the lap, except for here where he has DRS. He comes up at our inside, but then we just swap. We go from left to right, and we get back up the inside of Raikkonen, and we retain P4 for the rest of the lap. Now we cut to lap 6, coming out of the exit of turn, I believe that was turn 11, and now we're coming down the back straight. Just going to set our tyres to intermediates because we feel like the track is getting way too wet now. I mean, the car's really sliding around. We've managed to get away from Raikkonen a bit, but we just have no control, and we are having to turn the wheels so much through corners and brake so hard, and quite a few people here are staying out. Bottas and Raikkonen have both stayed out. Hamilton's come in, and by looks of it, that's Ricciardo who's come in behind us as we come in for our pit stop. We swap on to intermediates, and we managed to hold up Hamilton a bit in the pit lane as well, which is good for us, because that means we catch up to him ever so slightly. Quite a few people are pitting, although when you look at it, a lot of people have stayed out, so whether this is going to mess up their strategies and whether they made a mistake or we have, we'll find out in a minute. But we'll have to have a look, because I mean, I thought it was getting way too wet to stay out on dry tyres there, but obviously the AI have thought that no, it's dry enough for dry tyres. So Hamilton is going really slowly here though on his cold tyres. The AI seems to struggle a lot on them, and Hamilton brakes very early, and we just dive up the inside of him there. We're into P7, which is effective position 3. So now we're coming through the last sector on lap 7. We're coming into turn 14 here. I've realised that Vettel is going very, very slowly compared to us. I mean, our intermediate tyres have warmed up nice and quickly. We've got speed. But I'm a bit curious because Vettel is going very slowly. So I'm just checking on the race director. And yes, Sebastian Vettel came into the pits and put on prime tyres. You can see he's had one stop. He's on prime tyres. So he's really messed up his strategy here, because he's going super slow and the rain's coming down heavier. The top 5 haven't even pitted yet, so they stayed out for another lap. So they've messed up because they didn't come into the pits on the last lap, so they might lose a bit of time here. But if we look down the grid, so many people are still on dry tyres and have stopped. Quite a few have stopped, and there's only me, Marcus Ericsson, Romain Grosjean and Will the Lad Stevens. We're the only ones to have actually pitted and put on intermediate tyres. Everyone else is either not pitted yet or has pitted and put on dry tyres again. So that could mean Will Stevens, Romain Grosjean and Marcus Ericsson could be on for strong finishes here if everyone else doesn't if everyone else pits now and puts on wet tyres. They'll have gained so much time over them in the last lap that they could even finish in the points. Mana Marussia could be about to finish in the points, and Jeff's talking to us again, and he's saying we should be going on to wets, so this could be interesting now. So now we're literally at the end of lap 8, we're coming into the last sector now, coming through turns 10 and now into turn 11, and we've realised as we cut to lap 11 now that Raikkonen is catching us quite quickly. I mean, he's now right behind us pretty much. He's 8 tenths behind, but he caught us by about a second on that last lap. So he is really putting on the pressure. And I think it's actually Bottas that's behind him. So he's had a storm of a race, Valtteri, because he was one of those drivers that was still on, who stayed out a lap longer on dry tyres. And up the inside goes Raikkonen now, coming into turn 14. He just dives up the inside, and look how he's pulling away from us. He is going super quickly without DRS. He just pulls away and we go dive bomb him. I think we just dive up the inside. We slide up his inside. Only just managed to avoid contact, but Raikkonen is still alongside us as we go down the main straight now on lap 12 out of 14. We've only got 3 laps left. So we need to hold on because these tyres are not lasting. These tyres are really going off, and we run off wide there. That shows the degradation on these tyres are so bad. They're really wearing off, and we managed to hold P2 there. Oh, we ran wide a bit there, and we've broken too early here. We almost ran wide there. Raikkonen just jabs us twice there up the inside, almost making us spin. I think him and Bottas had a bit of contact there as well. But now we come to the end of lap 12, and we've got a bit of spare fuel, so we're going to shift it up in a little bit to rich, just like the last sprint to the finish. And we just defended for our lives as the tyres go off, and Bottas thinks of having to go up the inside, then decides against it. I mean, you can't just like spend time deciding on these things, Valtteri. You've just got to do it. Just got to do it. But anyway, here we go down the main straight, coming on to lap 14, and we're literally, Bottas isn't putting on any pressure on us, and you can see in a right mirror there, Raikkonen dives up the inside of Bottas, and he's looking very threatening on us, and he dives up our insides here as well. So Raikkonen is looking very menacing, but he doesn't manage to get past us this time. Okay, now we're coming through the last sector, guys, coming through turns 13 and 14, and we run a little bit wide here in turn 14, but we managed to get back up Raikkonen's inside. Nice little bit of position changing going on here. Bottas now climbs up into P3. We're on the last lap, coming into the last corner. Turn 15's just ahead of us. Our tyres are literally dead, and we've overshot the corner, guys. The tyres had literally no grip left in them, and Bottas has managed to claim P2 from us. Raikkonen's still in P4. We managed to hold him off, but we've thrown away position 2 right at the death. It's P3 for the Malaysian Grand Prix.
What a win for Nico Rosberg today. A really strong drive from the German, and he's brought his Mercedes home in first place. He looked very happy with his day's work as he celebrated up there on the podium.
Sometimes a driver just feels comfortable in the car and is dialed into the track, making for an unbeatable combination.
Well, what a weekend that has been. Please join us next time for another thrilling instalment of this Formula One season.
So that is position 3 for the Malaysian Grand Prix. I'm not really happy with it because obviously we ran wide at the last corner and we could have had 3 more points than we got. But I mean, we managed to get P3, it's a podium, and Will Stevens only managed 18th, which is annoying for him, but Marcus Ericsson and Grosjean managed 8th and 9th. So those drivers that decided to pit on the same lap as me did alright. But it's annoying we gave away that, but for the championship that really helps Bottas, and it doesn't really affect me too much. Rosberg continues to dominate. Next out, we're in China. So if you enjoyed this episode, guys, like and subscribe. I'm going to leave you with the highlights of this race, and we'll see you for round 3, the Chinese Grand Prix.